What's going on, guys? So Mighty back at it again with your weekly Rust skins videos, and as we can see, this week's skins are pretty average, to be honest, but we'll start off with the clothing, and we have the B cosplay boots and gloves accepted, yay. This is a copy and paste of the camouflage set, and it has just been converted over to a B theme instead, so that's really exciting and stuff. But overall, as long as the Metal Gear gets accepted next week, if it's been made, or the road sign gets accepted, or the set continues, I do see the B cosplay boots and the gloves going up in price. I do think it's going to be a very similar situation as what the camouflage was, which was the hoodie and pants coming out first, they stonk, and then I'm pretty sure it was the gloves and the boots came out. They've made money, and then after that the Metal Gear came out and they broke even, or maybe even didn't even go up in price. I'm not 100% sure on that one off the top of my head, but overall I think this is going to be the same thing as what happens with the B cosplay stuff, but I do think that because the boots and gloves were oversaturated so much for the camouflage and they didn't perform as well, I do think these ones are going to get bought slightly less, so they will perform slightly better in comparison to the camouflage. Overall though, I'm not a massive fan of the design. They are definitely unique, they are definitely a meme, but I'm just not a massive fan of them just because we've already had the camouflage stuff just accepted, and this is literally just a different animal, or insect in this case, and is the exact same design, so it's a little bit boring if you ask me. But so $2.15 for the gloves and $1.45 for the boots, center store price of both of them. I do think that's definitely a good thing. At the moment they're in the middle of the top sellers, so at this stage it doesn't look like they're going to get oversaturated, but this is currently day one, so we'll see how it goes throughout the week. If they go into the top three, I do think that's definitely not going to be a great thing, but I don't think it's going to absolutely kill the set unless the set doesn't continue. There is definitely a chance of the set not continuing, but we will see. Helk does like to accept some pretty interesting skins sometimes, and he is definitely not a predictable man when it comes to picking skins. Overall though, I will recommend investing in the B cosplay gloves and boots because they are center store price, and if the set continues then I do see potential growth for the two items, and I do see them making you some easy money. Alrighty, moving over to the Dragon hoodie and pants. So this is the edgiest set I've seen in quite a while. Honestly, completely against my taste. I do not like this kind of stuff. Very edgy, in my opinion, kind of cringe. If I were to recommend investing in either of the two, they're definitely well-made skins, so don't get me wrong there. But if I were to recommend investing in either of the two items, I would go with the hoodie over the pants. Now, I do still think that they're actually probably going to end up getting bought way more in comparison to the pants, but either way, I still would recommend buying them over the pants anyway, just because the hoodie is going to be a lot easier to pair with other items because it's more black and it has less grey on it in comparison to the pants where they have all the grey on the front. Now, these are both definitely a unique hoodie and pants combo, but I do see the hoodie being a lot easier to combine with other sets in comparison to the pants because there is such a contrast of the grey in comparison to a lot of other clothing and armor pieces that you would be trying to match them with, so it's going to make it a lot harder to match the pants. But for $1.45, these are definitely well-made skins, and I do see these items going up in price. At the moment, the hoodie is number 3 on the top sellers and the pants are number 4, so they are quite up there at the moment, and I do think they will remain there all week. But because they are center store price, I still will recommend investing in these skins, and I do see demand for these when they go to the community market, so for that reason I will recommend investing in the Dragon hoodie and pants for this week. Alrighty guys, moving over to the final clothing piece, we have the Legacy Satchel. No, it is not a clothing item, but it is in the clothing section, so that's why I always say that. But $1.45 center store price for the satchels. I do think that's a good thing. Now this is apparently what the old satchel charge used to look like in Rust Legacy. I personally never played Rust Legacy. I didn't even have a computer back then. I started playing PC quite late, probably in comparison to most people that actually watch this video too. So overall, for the Legacy Satchel, I do think that this is definitely going to be something that is bought up by people that did play Legacy, as it's going to give them a little bit of nostalgia. But I don't think that the demand of it is going to be that high, and when it comes to satchel skins, they really are risky investments, and usually I don't recommend investing in them just because they don't make you that much money, and that is simply because the demand just usually is not there for them, and the quantity is always way too high on the community market because so many people buy them on the Rust item store as investments, and it always oversaturates the market, so it does make it a much longer term investment usually, and that's even if it does go up in price. So for example, some of the latest satchels to come out were the Raid satchel that's got 50 on the market for $1.61, the Cargo Heli satchel, which I'm pretty sure was actually above $1.45, and that's $1.72 at the moment, and there's 86 of them. And another example for oversaturation definitely would be the Festive Surprise satchel, which is the most bought satchel and also the cheapest satchel charge skin in the game, and that is 95 cents. So it is definitely risky to be investing in satchel charge skins just because the demand really isn't there for them at the moment. And to be honest, I don't think it ever really will be. Now, I'm not saying the Legacy satchel won't make you money. I do think it can make you a little bit of money just because, as I said, it's going to be a nostalgic item. So the people that actually played Legacy will want to pick this up. But if it does go up in the top sellers, I won't recommend investing in it this week. If it stays as the bottom item for this week, you can invest in it, and I do think it can make you a little bit of money, but I definitely don't think it's going to be one of the better items to be investing in for this week. And so for that reason, if you do want to buy it, buy one as a play skin, buy it off the community market with a buy order or something like that. But I would not recommend investing in these as a investment because I don't really think they're going to be making you that much money. So for that reason, I will not recommend investing in the Legacy satchel for this week. Alrighty, moving over to the Bombshell Mp5. Now this is a continuation of the Bombshell set. This is that German guy's skin, and this is going for $2.90. We don't really get Mp5 skins accepted that often, and for that reason, I'm just going to say it now, I do think that this has absolutely killed the Burnout Mp5. I'm just going to quickly check what it's at on the market at the moment. So at the moment, the Burnout Mp5 is $2.16 starting off, and it has had a little crash since the new Mp5 has been released. So when it got accepted this morning, the Mp5 dropped down to $1.56, and that has gone back up to $1.01 and then dropped down to $1.45 and has now gone back up to $2.04 and is now currently going for $2.21. So I do definitely think that that's not a good thing for the Burnout Mp5, and that's going to make it a much longer term investment, not only to mention it has 265 quantity on the market, so it's been oversaturated. So at the moment, the Burnout Mp5 is $2.21, the cheapest Mp5 skin on the community market, and has way more than any other Mp5 skin. I'm pretty sure the second highest quantity Mp5 skin is the No Mercy Mp5, which has 70. That's going for $10.24. And then the Burnout Mp5 has 265 quantity. So that's just a comparison, and that's going for $2.21. Is the cheapest Mp5 skin. So where I'm getting at with this is the Bombshell Mp5. It is a sick looking Mp5 skin, but quickly looking at the Rust item store, it is also the top seller. So demand isn't as high for Mp5 skins because it is more of a niche weapon, in my opinion, just because it is the only tier 3 SMG. So most people would be using AK or maybe even LR at tier 3 instead of the Mp5. And it being the top seller at the moment definitely isn't going to be a good start for this Mp5. But just keep an eye on it throughout the week. I do honestly think it's going to remain in the top 3 all week. It is definitely a unique and very well made looking Mp5 skin. I am a fan of it. Personally, I do think the ADS looks a little bit boring and bland, but the overall design of it is pretty cool. And going for $2.90, which is the standard store price, I do think that is a good thing. But for the same reason as the Burnout Mp5, I also do think that the Bombshell Mp5 is going to be a long-term investment due to oversaturation. I do definitely see the Bombshell Mp5 getting oversaturated, being above 100 quantity on the community market. But as a long-term investment, I do see very good potential in the Bombshell Mp5. So for that reason, I still will recommend investing in the Bombshell Mp5 for this week. Alrighty, moving over to the Cardboard Python. Now this is definitely a very unique looking skin, and it's going for $2.90, which is the standard store price for weapons and tools. And it is also a continuation of the Cardboard set, which is now a set. So the skin before it was the AK, so the Cardboard AK, and that is going for $2.16. And so this is where it gets a little bit dodgy when it comes to investing in the Cardboard Python. In my opinion, AK skins are definitely in higher demand in comparison to Python skins, and Python skins in general don't really have a crazy high demand. So the price is fine being $2.90, although the Cardboard AK, which only has 60 on the community market, so in my opinion it's not even oversaturated, is $2.16 cheaper than this Python. And that is definitely not a good thing for the Cardboard Python, in my opinion. And at the moment, Python skins are already a risky investment. So there is 5 pages of Python skins on the community market, and almost 3 of those pages are below the $2.90 store price for this Python skin. So they definitely are more of a coin flip investment, but quickly checking the Rust item store, it is the second last item on the list. If it does remain in the bottom half of the Rust item store's top sellers, I do see potential in the Cardboard Python going up above $2.90 just because it is such a unique Python skin, and in my opinion is the better cardboard skin that has been released out of the two, the AK and the Python, but it is going to be a risky investment. So for that reason, I'm not going to recommend investing in it on the Rust item store. And if you are planning on investing in it, then I would recommend investing in it from the community market with a buy order instead. But just know, I still do think it is going to be a longer term investment if you are going to do either. So for that reason, I will not recommend investing in the Cardboard Python for this week. Alrighty guys, moving over to the Desert Scout sleeping bag. Now this one is going for above standard store price and it's going for $3.60. So I do see a slight demand for this sleeping bag. Everyone's going to want to finish off their little biome set and have the Winter Scout sleeping bag, Forest Camo bag, and the newly made Desert Scout sleeping bag. Although it's going for $3.60, although the Forest Camo sleeping bag has a quantity of 219 on the community market, and the Winter Scout has a quantity of 259 on the community market. So both of these sleeping bags have been way too oversaturated for what their demand is on the community market, and for that reason it has impacted the prices of the Winter Scout sleeping bag, which is now going for $1.99 cheapest on the community market, and the Forest Camo bag for $2.58 on the community market. So they are the two more popular biomes to be basing in comparison to the desert, and the desert one is $3.60 and is currently the second on the top sellers. So I do see the Desert Scout sleeping bag definitely getting oversaturated on the community market. I also do see it getting undercut day one on the community market and then for the rest of the week as well. I don't see potential in the Desert Scout sleeping bag going above $3.60 anytime soon. For that reason, I do definitely think it's going to be a long-term investment. I will recommend buying it off of the community market with a buy order, but I would also recommend to do that in a couple of weeks instead of straight away, just because I do see the Desert Scout sleeping bags prices getting stomped within the next couple of days after it is released on the community market. So for that reason, I do actually think the Desert Scout sleeping bag is going to be one of the worst investments to be made on the Rust item store for quite some time. It is definitely a really nice looking sleeping bag. I'm going to be picking one up as a play skin, even though I basically never base in the desert. And I will commend the skin creator for making it blend in really well with the desert biome, especially the grassy patchy looking areas and the rocky looking areas. I do think it is definitely a really nice skin, but I think the demand of it is going to be nowhere near enough to be outweighing that supply that's going to be on the community market, and for that reason I do think it's going to be oversaturated and I don't think it's going to be a good investment for this week. So for that reason I won't recommend investing in the Desert Scout sleeping bag for this week. And now we'll move over to the cart for what I'm buying for this week. Alrighty guys, so this is my cart for this week. I've got at least one of everything. I've got 3 of the hoodie, 3 of the pants, 3 of the boots, 1 of everything else. It's going to cost me $26.05. I think that's 14 items, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and remember, Habits gets one.
And remember, Habits gets one.
Why? 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 Why?